We are panicking. A new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient, and greatness will be the result. Immediate. Paper Eagle. Doesn't have the same ring to it. Kansas, North Carolina. Ken, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you doing?
Real good. What'd you think of Mr. Motion?
Excellent. I think he's spot on.
What have you seen?
And I want to share with you, this past week, I was at an aviation event
Morning,
in
XZ.
Lakeland, Florida, and walking around
like the Avatar
hangars where all the vendors exhibiting their latest technology in aviation was a Chinese gentleman with taking video.
So the dangerous corner here is now a four-way stop. The one with the dangerous curve, yeah, it's Freya's day. So this is one of the most dangerous corners around because the cross traffic was not stopping before. People come flying around that corner. So many people. I mean, you can see that's a fresh light pole there, electrical pole. A lot of people got killed before they finally fucking put up a four-way stop. But I'm glad they did. I'm glad they didn't put a circle here. I mean, the houses are too close to the road, I think. So finally, it's much safer. Just hopefully, people that have lived here forever will remember to stop there now.
What are you talking about? It's about you'd be amazed. I'm working undercover, watching spies, Chinese spies at our air shows trying to steal us. We will never forget that conversation. Yeah, that stuff happens all the time. Have you ever heard the expression, burn the ships? Burn the ships. Cortez, who was in Mexico, conquistador, with 600 men, 11 ships. And behind them was Cuba and all their comforts, pleasures they can imagine. And they left it to go explore Mexico and find the riches there. Very different than the motivation of Puritans. But the men, they didn't have the resolve that Cortez knew they needed, especially to fight the Aztecs. So Cortez burned the ships, so that retreat wasn't an option. There was no plan B. No plan B, only victory. Only moving forward. Elisha,
I guess it's a good point. True.
Slaughtered his ox.
Yeah, I was playing with Grok's AI yesterday too, with some pictures of me and the wife and one of the Maine Coon cat.
There's no going back.
Pretty cool.
And that's what we got to be right now with China. There's no cafe. You got to go all in.
I did one with my smoky-eyed avatar.
Never be a moment. Never be a moment.
Tinker with it today. I forgot.
You cannot go like a little bit and then maybe we'll try again in 4 years. Like this is it. This is the chance of our lifetime. Right,
Doing all right.
It has to be all in.
Tired. I stayed up too late. Binge watching a couple shows.
Still have to go all in. So then it can be proven once and for all.
Watching Mobland.
If you think it will, I think it will. And if you don't think it will,
My back is very sore though. It started yesterday in the afternoon, and man, I had the shower on it for about 20 minutes today. The hot shower just spraying on my left lower back.
102 started that journey on the Mayflower. 50 survived the first week. But the men, at one point there were only 6 men who were helping not to do anything from those who remained. And it was said that they did it willingly and cheerfully without any grudging remorse. That's how hard they work. That's how hard they have to work too. But exciting time. But awesome time.
Piggy behind me now.
Let's go.
Expeditions Spotlight is subject to approval, supply trucks and concrete details. Attention truck drivers, unlock the future of trucking, where earnings, flexibility, and independence come together.
Ooh, that sucks.
When you lease on to Cloud Trucks, our dispatch assistant finds the best loads faster, reducing downtime.
Health-wise, I feel okay. It's just physically
on trips over 250 miles, booked loads averaged in
almost like sciatica on the left side.
per mile, with instant payment after each delivery. With Cloud Trucks,
Right on top of my butt.
loads that fit your schedule while tracking every dollar. And with over 300,000 loads negotiated automatically by our AI bidding app, you'll have better paying loads without the hassle.
Yeah, it blows. In fact, the wife started doing her humidifier again. When it's not raining, it's dry as fuck. So Even though we have standing water all over the place, the air right now is dry. It just makes you feel old. Sciatica does, man, because you like walk around crunched up. It's over. Just sitting up is.
Over 40 million Americans regularly turn to Newsmax for the news they need to know.
We're supposed to get up near the 70s on Monday, so 50s and 60s this weekend, maybe 60s, high 50s this weekend. So. Oh shit! That cough. It's my little vape cough. It's not a cold cough. And that cough kills my back. Now I heard something about Ford is for the next few months is going to do employee pricing on all their cars. Have you heard anything about that? That might make me consider trading this thing in.
Eased last month. That mirrors yesterday's report on consumer prices. China says one more time on raising tariffs on U.S. imports. Chinese tariffs will increase to 125% starting tomorrow. China says it's about as high as it will go. American tariffs on Chinese products stand at 145%. More from the BBC's Marita Owen.
Latest twist, Beijing raising its retirement.
I haven't looked into it. I haven't searched it. I mean, my dad retired from Ford, but I don't talk to my mother, so. Yeah, my dad's deceased, so my mom still has the rights to it. But I haven't talked to her in 15 years.
Countries, industries, and things they want to protect of themselves are different. Since World War II, the U.S. has been the only country engaged in trade free trade, and that's put a damper on the U.S. industries. Another U.S. citizen who had been imprisoned in Russia is now back home. Sanya Carolina was released in a prisoner swap. The woman was visiting family in Russia. She donated about $50 to a Ukraine charity, was then arrested and convicted of treason. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 152 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Mr. Britt, we talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor...
Why would you donate money to a country that you're at war with, even if you're no longer a citizen there, and then go to that country? It's so stupid. The way people end up in jail in foreign countries cracks me up sometimes. I get it. Real rights can be violated sometimes, but that's just stupidity.
Make sure dogs diet. That developed dog trusted. But don't just take our word for it.
Give it to somebody you trust.
Go to drfighters.com today and subscribe.
Me and my wife have one over each other. And if we're both gone, my oldest son has it. So when I go, my wife gets half, and each of my sons get the other half split down the middle. If they want to blow it, they can. I don't care. Remember when I told you I bought as much as I possibly could during the dip? Well, that went pretty well. Even though it did go down a little bit again yesterday, it's still Did pretty well.
Meet in Oman this weekend for the first talks of President Trump's second term, where Tehran's rapidly.
Well, that's the news that you hear. That's the mass social media. Look at some of my replies this morning and last night on X. Yeah, it went all right. I mean, it was actually a nice chunk of it was money I made on Rumble last month. Dude, I only have like 8 to 10 actual subscribers, not followers, but subscribers on Rumble. But because I'm consistent and I do the premium broadcast once in a while. They give me a nice chunk. I don't know if that's just like to get me to keep doing it or what, but man, I wish I had more time to devote to it is what I'm trying to say. I'm sure I could make a nice chunk of change. One thing about Rumble is you get almost all of, well, you get all of your subscribers. You get all the cash for your subscribers, and you get like 70, almost over 75% of any donation. So, well, I've advocated it for a long time, even before I became a partner with them. You know, I bought stock when they were at 3. You know, and they've gone as high as what, 15. Now they hover around 7, I guess. But a lot of big names have been moving over. And by moving over, meaning they do very little on this airwave. I gotta just cut the cord because I don't make anything on YouTube. I mean, I got more subscribers on YouTube, but even that's changing. My Rumble subscribers have almost surpassed my YouTube subscribers on my main channel. I mean, not followers. They call them subs on YouTube. We call them followers on Rumble. This guy shooting up the side here.
Oh, by the way, let me just tell you, if you want to make comments, if you can't maybe get to a phone, you can't call in 866-957-2874, 866-95-PATRIOT. You can always reach out to me on X at Mary Walter Radio. There's no S, there's only one name, so it's Mary Walter Radio. And I will do my best to multitask and get to your comments as we go through the show.
Yeah, I mean, it could be huge. It's just they over-regulated themselves, you know, just like everybody else. Facebook did the same thing. They just over-regulated themselves. You know, they banned people for stupid stuff. Hey, Brandon. You know, I mean, opinion stuff. You know, my number one strike that I get is for disinformation. A lot of times, literally just because the news is on in the background and they disagree with it.
So, where are we? Right. So, 2 federal judges in New York and Texas temporarily blocked the Trump.
I mean, they had it all and they screwed over some big names. They wanted too big of a chunk of everything that people earn. That's why when I got demonetized, they've been offering since what, December for me to remonetize. I won't do it. I won't do it. It just means that they look at you closer.
That's what Trump got the permission from the Supreme Court to use, what would happen with that is what they said was like Boasberg in D.C. can't issue a nationwide injunction. Right? It has to be issued from the district in which the people are being deported from. So they were ready with 2 poor, hapless people who've come into the country illegally and really, really, really want to stay. They get them lawyers, they lawyer them up, they use their money. I don't know where it comes from. It's what we find out.
Right.
And they filed these lawsuits. U.S. District Judge
Asmongold
Jr. in Brownsville granted a temporary restraining order filed on behalf of 3 Venezuelan nationals.
Yeah, they screwed him over big time.
Temporarily blocked their removal under the
Bongino, that's why Bongino bought into Rumble.
Respondents claim are subject to removal under that proclamation. So this judge is saying that, so we're going to have to get a ruling from the Supremes totally on this, as opposed to, they're trying to do it piecemeal, they're trying not to really get involved in this stuff, but they're going to have to eventually because of these judges who feel that they have more power than the president. So this is anyone who would be removed from the El Valle detention center in Brownsville. And he is a Trump appointee. He sided with the plaintiff's contention that allowing the law to be used for their deportations would likely cause immediate and irreparable injury to the removed individuals who said would be unlikely to be able to seek habeas relief. Now, I'm sorry that it's going to be really super inconvenient for you to be deported, but, you know, it's really super inconvenient when criminals, American citizen criminals, are separated from their families because they have to go to jail. That's super inconvenient too. In addition, he said the substantial likelihood.
Yeah, I can't wait till he takes off the gloves at the FBI just to see what happens. I think he's doing just a solid assessment right now, trying to figure out what direction to go in. I think he already has a good idea, but
he also said
he's been pretty quiet since he moved in. He's only been there a couple weeks. He took a couple weeks to shut down his obligations. I like Vince too. Vince does a decent job. And Avita on the Morning Bongino Report.
That's what's at issue here, because again, the Supreme Court is doing this piecemeal. They lifted Monday of this week. This is going so fast. This is in 4 days.
Morning, unindoctrinated. Good to see you, dear.
So Monday, the Supremes lifted
we're gonna get over
the
here.
lower court. They had a restraining order in this lower court. They lifted that restraining order and allowed the Trump administration.
I love how the news reported that the Cash was forced to step down as acting ATF director. Well, he was never going to be there forever. That's why it was acting. They made it sound like he did something wrong and lost the position. Well, no, he's got enough on his plate with just the FBI. I don't know about this guy they moved in, but Secretary of the Army. If he was under Biden, I would question it.
Wholesale prices unexpectedly fell in March this spring. So this is setting up for some favorable inflation numbers. The producer price index, which is a leading indicator for inflation pressures, declined a seasonally adjusted 0.4% for the month after it rose 0.1% in February. The Dow Jones thought it was going to increase 0.2%. So this is, if you would take out food and energy, the PPI index also declined down a 0.1%. And they had estimated that it was going to increase 0.3%. So this is all really great news. So much winning. So much winning. It's fantastic. Also, I didn't have time to get this. This just came out. Just find that Tulsi Gabbard says she's discovered classified files that relate to how vulnerable electronic voting machines are to manipulation. And she's also discovered that officials are resisting declassification efforts. Their documents have been squirreled away to prevent discovery. So they're hiding stuff. They are fast. They are trying to keep ahead of the Trump administration to hide as much as they possibly can. So hopefully I'll get some more of that on that as the show goes on. Also,
no, I didn't, but it seems like
this is like drinking from a fire, most people. This is why I'm sleep deprived.
Silly thing for her to do. What did she think was going to happen?
All hours of the night. It's crazy. So you have Sean Davis reporting that overnight the Federalist obtained the Russiagate binder, which Trump declassified. It consists of
Well, then again,
seven separate
she's posted
files
in Greenland. That should already tell you how.
They did it in the
What type of officer she is.
The Federalist has now posted this.
If you ever were in the military and you got a post in Greenland, usually that was a undercover punishment.
So people have to wade through that, and I did not have time to do that this morning. So hopefully that will be something that David discusses with you on Monday. But also, if you're on X, go to Sean Davis or the Federalist, which is FDRLST, and check it out. All the links there are all the different file 1, file 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 7, and you can go through each one. But I'm sure I like to wait for the crib notes, you know. Which is when someone like Sean Davis goes through this, and I don't have to try to figure it out on my own, because that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So there's that. Okay. Also, on the negative side, U.S. corporate bankruptcies have risen to the highest
Correct.
level since 2010. So this is something to watch. Now we're getting good news regarding inflation, regarding numbers that went down instead of up.
Yeah, it always cracks me up when people say, well, yeah, the First Amendment is so big, you can't yell. I'm like, yeah, you can. But you'll have to deal with the consequences of it.
The tariffs that we're going to wind up with a lot of inflation. Everything's going to cost more.
What do you think about that new law in Colorado? That's about to go to the Supreme Court. That's about to be deemed unlawful and unconstitutional. Hey, Jody.
So it's going to get mixed bag. Corporate bankruptcies increased in the first quarter to the highest level of since 2010.
Restrictions on on weapons that have detachable magazines, which, I mean, besides the fucking, there's not many weapons. I mean, a couple of hunting rifles, revolvers.
And this is significantly more than that. So this is something to watch. The largest number of bankruptcies in the first quarter of this year.
Breach stock shotguns. They're basically trying to turn Colorado into Canada's gun laws. Used to be the land of cowboys, now it's the land of cowards.
And of course, Joanne Fabrics, also now it's just Joanne, the crafts retailer. I'm not a crafty kind of girl. I've been in Michael's a couple times. God bless them, we don't have time for this. Every now and then you see a guy in there, but I go in there mostly for picture frames and things like that. But when I was little, my mom was super crafty. Like, my mom was Martha Stewart. Like, my mother could decoupage anything in the 70s, and she decoupaged a lot of stuff in the 70s, a lot of stuff. My parents at one time possessed a beautiful, at the time I didn't realize how wonderful it was, but it was a wooden filing cabinet, and my mother painted it orange because it was the 70s, and she put like that brown wash over it, which was very trendy at the time, but she did it. I mean, she did this with brick kids, so God bless her. And then she decoupaged, she took masks, old masks.
This guy's in a hurry.
You know,
Where's chick
I'm sure
is?
they really weren't old. And then you would rip them, burn the edges
you go, girl.
to make them look really old, and put them on the side, and then use the Mod Podge.
At least it's not so hazy this morning you can't see the roofs
She would decoupage
of the tall buildings.
on there, and you put the Mod Podge stuff over top of it, on the top of this filing cabinet. And I'm like, gosh, I wonder where that filing cabinet is today. Number one, because that would be totally cool to have. And number two, orange. I have a bedroom set here. It's for a double bed, and it was my mother's when she was a kid. It's a beautiful cherry.
I'm actually going to get some Wendy's this morning.
In the 70s, painted green with that black wash over it, and she replaced all of apparently it was done like around the bicentennial, Liberty Bell, weird thing, and I was just looking at that, I was like, so God bless crafty women, and apparently there aren't enough of them because Joanne declared bankruptcy as well. So also Hooters, sorry boys, Hooters, the wings apparently aren't enough to keep them coming in, and 23andMe, which we know about that. Apparently there is a cap on how many people want to find out about their ancestry. So that's the end of that. So that's some bad news coming in. But again, it's a mixed bag. We have a lot of China news to talk about. Oh, also, all right. I have big news about another Supreme Court ruling that came down yesterday that everybody's been fighting about on the internet. So on X, because that's where you go to battle, because everyone is now an immigration expert. Everybody's now an immigration lawyer. And it depends on, now everyone's going to be a constitutional lawyer because everyone's fighting over the SAVE Act today on X. Every day there's like a fight du jour, and it's usually decided by the left. Usually the left picks an issue, the talking points go out, they all just regurgitate them. We know they do it. We've seen their leaders get out there and they repost the same thing word for word. So whatever the talking point is that they want to talk about today, it's the
Sure, every morning I get behind a cement truck on this road.
Everyone is suddenly a constitutional lawyer on it. And sometimes they're pharmaceutical
Every morning.
experts, sometimes they're lawyers. So today it's a lawyer day. But from the Supreme Court, and then we'll be joined by Wyoming Secretary of State Chuck Gray to talk about that SAVE Act that everyone is suddenly an expert on. So we'll get it from an expert coming up on the David Webb Show.
The Will Cow Majority.
Coming up right after the
Home style fried potatoes, they call them.
News of the day. RNC Chairman Michael Watley. Right after the David Webb Show.
Will Cow Majority coming up next at noon East after the David Webb Show on Sirius XM Patriot.
Profit from the financial markets has never been easier. TrueTrade introduces the world's first one-click AI-assisted trading platform. No trading experience? No problem. Just purchase the platform and connect your trading.
Oh, she's got a big old RV.
It's that simple. No need to worry about what or when to trade. With just one click, their AI software handles everything for you. No money, no experience.
Sorry, no doxing. Yeah, I think she's talked about it before you were around. Yeah, me too. I wouldn't mind it like for a night, but if you're going out for multiple nights somewhere, nah.
Plus a guarantee of at least $300,000 in tradable funds. You keep the profits. Join thousands worldwide who are already profiting from their AI-driven trading technology. Are you ready to step up your cash flow? Head over to TrueTrade.io. That's TrueTrade.io. That's TrueTrade.io. Investing in all trades, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. See terms and conditions.
There's a growing expense eating into your company's profits. It's your cloud computing bill. You may have gotten a deal to start, but now the spend is sky high and increasing every year. What if you could cut your cloud bill in half and improve performance at the same time? Well, if you act by May 31st, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure can help you do just that. OCI is the next generation cloud designed for every workload, where you can run any application, including any AI projects, faster and more securely for less. In fact, Oracle has a special promotion where you can cut your cloud bill in half when you switch to OCI. The savings are real. On average, OCI costs 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Automotive, Skydance Animation, and today's innovative AI tech companies who upgraded to OCI offer only for new U.S. customers with a minimum financial commitment. See if you qualify for half off at oracle.com/patriot. That's oracle.com/patriot.
Hi, Michael Youssef here. Today's church, like the first church, is besieged by hostility, false belief system, and immorality. In my new book, God's Final Call, I reveal Jesus' 7 letters to his church today.
For a limited time, God's Final Call is available for your gift of any amount. Your donation to Dr. Youssef's global ministry gets you this book at LT.
Oh, wow. You hear that?
Personal responsibility.
In a minute since I fucking got a rock thrown up on me. Fucking cement truck. Probably some of the aggregate falling off of it.
today. Coming up, Chuck Gray, the Wyoming Secretary of State. But I said we had a little bit of an update here on something that everybody's been fighting about on X for days. The Supreme Court directed the Trump administration yesterday to facilitate the return of an alleged MS-13 member who was deported in error. Now, he was from Maryland. His wife is American. He has a child. Now, there seems to be some discrepancy about whether he is an MS-13 member. The administration says he is. But apparently there was some order in 2019 that he wasn't supposed to be. He was supposed to deport, but he wasn't supposed to be deported to El Salvador. And he didn't deport, and then they sent him to El Salvador. And so it's a big mess. And to this day, honestly, this has been going on all week. I still don't know what the real story is. I can't even pretend to know what the real story is anymore. We spoke to some congressman earlier this week, and he was like, no, he had a deportation order. They were right in sending him. And now the Supreme Court is saying no because he wasn't supposed to be sent to El Salvador. Even though he's from El Salvador. He wasn't supposed to be sent back to El Salvador because he could be a target of gangs.
Busy.
Orders, so we're waiting for them to clarify the order. Now, the administration admitted in court filings that he was deported due to an administrative error, but they allege he is a member of the MS-13 gang and would be dangerous to return to the United States. And I think the error is that he shouldn't have been sent back to El Salvador. I think that's the error. I don't know 100%. So, I don't know. I guess this guy's going to stay and then he's going to sue because he's won the American lottery. If you can sue the American government, can you sue the American government? Because I can't sue the American government. I don't know if he can sue the government. I don't know. I don't know about that. So anyway, there's an update for you on that. So, all right, let's take a little bit of a breather. Let's get some answers. All right. Let's go to the Wyoming Secretary of State. Chuck Gray is here with us. You can find him at Chuck, F-O-R, Chuck 4, Wyoming. Chuck Gray, welcome back to the David Webb Show. How are you?
Great to be on today.
It's early out there, right?
It is, but we're really kicking strong on a Friday. We got the SAVE Act through yesterday, so great moment for election integrity at the federal level.
I know. I gotta tell you.
Good morning. I'll be with you momentarily, please, and thank you.
Accomplish something. I'm surprised because my expectations are so low, and so every now and then I'm pleasantly surprised.
It is a narrow majority, so they've got to be on the same page. Last week they had a vote, and it didn't quite happen on the rule. So they went home early last
Good morning, and thank you kindly for your patience. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I have a mobile order in from Norm.
Thank you kindly. Please go forward, please. Thank you.
So before we get into what the SAVE Act does and what it doesn't do, because the talking points are out from the Democrats and the lies are out, and apparently no woman will ever be able to vote again. We have a patchwork of laws and requirements in this country because each state runs its elections, which I see the benefit of that. If you federalize it, I think there's too much room for corruption that is forced upon every state, right? So I think having the states run their elections is a good thing. But we have a patchwork, and you have things like red states, like I'm sure Wyoming, and other red states that go through your voter rolls and they purge people, dead people and etc. They clean up their voter rolls on a regular basis as you're supposed to. Blue states don't, but that's it. So how do we come to some kind of consensus with something like the SAVE Act if the federal government isn't really allowed to run our elections? The states are.
Well, states are going to continue to run elections. That's in the Constitution. The question is whether the National Voter Registration Act, Mary, which has been around since the early 90s, whether we're going to have it require proof of citizenship for registering to vote for the states that are subject to the National Voter Registration Act.
Right behind him, please, and thank you. I'm about to make your coffee and bring it out.
Thank you.
Or whether we're not. And that's what the SAVE Act does, is it puts forward that proof of citizenship requirement as part of the federal law for registering. And that federal form goes back to the National Voter Registration Act from the early
register online. You can register by mail, which I've seen, like Scott Preston, for instance. He gets people to sign up to register to vote at gun shows and all these other things, and then he has them and he mails them in.
The white building? No, it's the torn, the shabby one to the left. Sorry, I just seen that.
How would that change, for instance, Scott Preston's organization?
The bill has a list of the documents that are required for registering to vote, and that procedure is already laid out. The process of turning in those forms and the required information is already laid out in the National Voter Registration Act. What we have to mention is we're adding there's already requirements in place for the federal filmers. This is just adding a new one, so it'll be subject to the provisions of the NVRA, as it's commonly known. That's the abbreviation. When people send in the documents that they use in the past for safe proof of identity, which is already part of the current form, and they can do the same thing this way. So it's one of those things where the media is trying to create a firestorm around something that is broadly popular because they know that they can't win on the issue. There is the Gallup poll, 80% of Americans want this. The Rasmussen poll showing over 90% of Americans want this. And when you're at those levels, that's just not Republicans and independents.
Thank you.
Majorities of
Thank you. No worries. Oh.
small subset of the radical left that is fortunately the leadership of the Democrat Party.
Sweet.
She has my birth certificate. People who cannot leave work during business hours to go to the county seat or wherever your headquarters is for voting, your election office, could be disenfranchised by this. And I kind of get that if you're really, but I grew up in rural New Jersey. Now, when I say rural, okay, so we drove 20 minutes to the county seat to, go present my ID and do that. But people who maybe have to re-register now, or if they move, or if they change their name or that type of party affiliation, are now going to have to go somewhere physically and present ID. Do they have a point in that it presents a hardship?
Well, first of all, you already have to do that as part of voter ID when you show up to vote at the polls. But really, it's a two-step process. You have the registration process, which gets you on the rolls, and then voter ID, which when you show up to the polls, confirms that you are who you say you are. You should be doing those on absentee ballots as well. But I think the broad consensus on in terms of polling and throughout our country, and trust me, coming from Wyoming, we, oftentimes we have homes, community centers that are an hour from the county seat. But people are willing to exert a modicum of effort to have security in their elections and to have election integrity. Because without election integrity, you don't.
Yeah, have a great day, everybody. I may turn on that modified scanner again. I thought that was pretty neat. We'll see how busy it is. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Peace.